Nocturne difficulty. I won't get into the map exactly till we get started playing with it. But this is quite, it's quite a popular map. I mean, it has a standard mode as well. The mania scene for it is quite nuts. Being able to look at the footage of this, it was absolutely ridiculous, way outside of my skill level. So hopefully Daiki will be able to kind of explain some of these more complex patterns and what they might do versus stress on someone's hand and how players might deal with that going on.
Definitely will. And if anything, this chart is very varied. It kind of extends to all different skill sets. It starts out with some jacks in the intro, as we'll actually get to see right now as the players jump into that.
Yes.
The timing is going to be really interesting because of the jacks in the beginning. It starts flowing into some grace notes, and then the LNs start coming in. And then at the end, it's like an accuracy test where the chart becomes a little bit more consistent to time.
Yeah, and now despite this running at 230 BPM, it's not really the hardest chart in the pool by any means. Like you said, it is jacky in the first half, so it's hard to predict. But some of the patterns are leniently done. And when you say leniently done, could you go into a little bit of detail on that, Daiki?
It's when I say lenient, it's more so that they're just comfortable to hit. I don't think there's any other comparison that I can really make, but like at a level where you're able to hit these kinds of patterns, they can either be like something that you have to actually like focus on very hard to actually hit the patterns, or you can just kind of zone out and accuracy them pretty well. And they're more on that side. However, you can still focus even harder to up your accuracy a little bit.
Oh yeah, that was actually explaining it perfectly there. I don't see why you say you have any hard time. But there's also a cooldown section that's a bit deceptively tricky to time due to the long notes being too long to ignore and too short to treat normally. And it's also accompanied with flams. So
yep, it's this section right here.
Yeah, so what kind of things can our players look to do to try to improve their accuracy on that? Or do you think that's going to be too big of an issue with the players at the skill level we'll see them at?
It really depends, because depending on how you function with long notes, you're really going to have to concentrate to hit those notes at the exact correct time and release at the correct time, especially since we're going to be using Score V2 in this, in the Mania 4K tournament. Score V2 is a new addition that's pretty much brand new and going to be tested in this tournament, where hold note releases will be accounted for a little bit differently. So you just have to pay a lot more attention to those.
All right, so this will make a pretty interesting chart. There's 3 distinct sections where players will have to strategize whether it's a good idea or not a good idea to ban or play this based on their performance. So hopefully we'll see Last Star in the Universe played quite a bit, but if not, well, you know, it's definitely there. So that being said, I think we'll just wait on for the next one. Very interesting map, though. Always like seeing the Ghost of the 313. Is that how you say it, or would you say 3.13?
I guess you could say it anyway, like however you would say numbers. I could say 3.13, 3.13, etc., etc.
All right, and that one is going to be done. We'll be moving on to our next one in just a moment.
Oh yeah, and yes, while this is 230 beats per minute, this is definitely not the hardest map in the map pool.
Yeah, and you could just see a little bit of sweat from Juan there. Holy cow, this isn't even the hardest map.
Alright, you want to take this introduction for the next map?
Alright, not a problem. It looks like the next map we'll do is Yamamoto Moji, and this is Dote Korose, the short version. And the difficulty that's going to be played on here is the EXH. Now, this chart is going to be fun. Well, it's mostly fun for me because it's kawaii as crap, and I like stuff like that, so totally not on my bad listen-o-meter. Like, I had no problem. Actually, you can see our players are kind of a little bit worried about that. Suck it up, Juan. Alright, so we should be getting this thing started in just a moment, and then we'll kind of go into a little bit of detail on the map itself. There's not as much to go into detail on this one. It is the short cut of this song, so it's not going to be too long. Short and sweet is what we're looking for with this one. I feel like this will be something... Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say it's only 2 minutes and 10 seconds of frame time, so it's not...
Yeah. I feel like this will probably be a good one for quick points. Wouldn't you say, Daiki?
Definitely, especially since this map is very skewed towards one skill set, as we're probably going to be able to see coming into this.
Yes. That being said, while you start to watch this play, this chart has everything you'd expect from a long note chart. There's regular and irregular long notes and placements with releases, light and heavy long note usage as well. So there
a couple
are
little cute SVs.
Yeah. It's not so much cute. That's not cute. That is crazy.
So that is so fun.
That was like complete stop. All right. The chart also starts out quite tame. Many of the long notes will be placed in places that feel natural with intuitive releases as well. However, once this thing gets into the chorus, the long notes are going to become more erratic, and the releases are going to become a bit less intuitive. The chart climaxes a little bit after the solo, bringing in heavy long note usage with every one half with intuitive releases, and even small shield sections. But, Daiki, like I said, you know, we were doing really decent in terms of, like, it being quick for them points. But do you think that the long notes are really going to hurt the people that don't practice on them so much? Or is this something you could practice and be okay with?
You could definitely practice this and be okay. However, like, I can say this personally, I'm not the strongest at long notes. All of you should look out for that. Anyways, like, while you can practice it, like, sometimes it's just not intuitive and you just can't hit a section. Like, you just can try as hard as you can, but you just won't be able to hit a section. So I can see this drawing bans if the whole team that's trying to pick maps like has an LN deficit. Like if you have 3 people who can hit that, then it could be potentially considered for stuff, for points for this. However, I do think that this is going to require at least a little bit of practice because of the SVs kind of like interweaved into the LNs. If you don't play this chart beforehand, then you might drop a bunch of easy misses that could cost you the whole match.
Very much so. All right, and that is going to be the end of that one. We will be moving over to our next one. Oh boy, I'm totally fine naming the name of the song. I'm just so worried about messing up the artist.
I can get that for you.
All right, Daiki, definitely help.
I'll wait for it to pop up and then I'll get it.
Yes, no problem.
Alright, we have from Yokomin featuring Yuzuki Yukari, Story in Everlasting Princess. This is the map by Avalon, the 4K hyper difficulty.
Very much so. Now, this one, I'm not even going to lie here. I've watched this one quite a bit, and trying to explain what goes on with it was almost a little bit too tough, kind of tongue twistery here. So I'm going to go slow when explaining this so I don't make a fool of myself. But there's a lot of stuff that we're going to be looking at in this chart as soon as we get going. All right, and here we go. Now, this is something that our players are a little bit hyped about here because this is a consistency chart. This mainly tests slow burst and slow jump stream accuracy. Now, for those that might not know what jump streams and slow bursts are, Daiki, go ahead and explain a little bit of that for them.
Well, first, before explaining jump stream, I guess explaining what stream is, it's just literally what it sounds like. It's a stream of notes coming up or down your stream or screen. They're just consistently spaced and all of that. So jump streams is when you interleave doubles into the stream. So we're probably going to be able to see it coming up after the little bit of long note section. Although these long notes are pretty trivial because they're very, they fit with the song and they feel natural to hit.
And, you know, this only being 145 BPM, it is a little bit slower. Some people are kind of used to playing, especially in 4-key, you've got a lot of speed players. So the BPM's usually a little bit higher. I don't see it as being a big issue, but it might be detrimental for those people that do practice only on the super high speed maps. So these lower BPM maps might prove challenging, but then again, only time will tell, really.
Only time will tell.
Yeah, practice can go a long way, and, you know, having the week to practice for this definitely is going to help.
Although you would be definitely surprised at how much the slower BPM could actually detriment people's accuracy, just because they're used to something faster, so they start either rushing, or maybe they don't hit it as fast because they're actively trying to slow down. Like, they have to have a good grasp on the BPM still, regardless, in order to accuracy charts like this well, especially
Very
since this is a consistency test.
And it has a lot of 1/6 burst. Though they're easily patterned, most players shouldn't have issues timing that, but like you said, if they're having problems with the lower BPM, this could be a potential issue. And there are some longer 1/6 bursts that could trip up players. As the patterns are easy to combo, they're difficult to time due to lack of control. So that's something that they will have to look out for too.
Yep. And also, this is one of the longer songs, so you do need to, like, keep up your focus for a longer time. Being 3 minutes 18 seconds of frame time.
Yeah, very much so. You have to pace yourself with this one, folks. If you don't pace yourself, you are going to have a bad time. And no pun intended. I'm serious. You'll have a bad time.
Speaking of bad times, though, as a little foreshadowing.
Another thing is that there are some, just to talk about a little bit earlier in the map, there are some tricky long note releases at the first Kai section, but they're pretty irrelevant due to the fact that the small contribution relative to the entire map is not that much. So that might be a place to look for potential breaks when watching the matches go down. But as you can see, even our showcase players here aren't having too much of a problem there. Konner holding a very nice overall score there. Good accuracy as well too. Juan cranking that accuracy dial up just a little bit higher.
However, it looks like Konner does take that map in terms of score.
Oh yes.
We are using Score V2 in this room, right?
That I'm not 100% sure on. I'd have to get back to you. Yes, we are. Now I know, because they got back to us.
So if you look at that, combo's going to really matter if you look at those scores.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Much more than Score V1. So that's going to make all these map pools very interesting, I think, because there's going to be, while there is going to still be like a strong accuracy component to the scoring, that combo is going to actually matter. Every single drop will count.
Yeah, and that's going to put a lot of extra stress on some of the players. This is kind of going to shake up the entire playfield of it, because before, a drop really didn't matter as much if you had the super stellar accuracy, and now that combo is going to matter a little bit here, it's going to be kind of tough.
Yep. And now we're going to get into Electric Sound Lab by You. And yes, this is Zio Styles' map, originally showcased in the Soft tournament a little while ago. For those of you who are uninitiated to this map, this is a beautiful map, and you're going to love it. That's all I can say about it. I would like it'll become very obvious what this map is all about as soon as we jump into it, and we won't need any explanation at all, I don't think.
All right, and let's get in there. And for those that don't know the explanation, now all of our mania vets here are going to look at this and go, oh yes, this is beautiful. But for that, it's not very hard physically. It only has 138 BPM. It has some broken jump streams and some 1/6.
Here we go.
Yeah, I can see what this is now. But it's definitely not your typical SV chart, is it?
Definitely not. You're going to need to at least play through this a couple times. When I say a couple, I mean a lot, in order to actually nail down these SPs. And well, yeah, like you said, it was only 130 BPM, or 138, sorry. These SPs are pretty brutal, especially for just group stages.
Yeah, I would say that this is going to require a decent level of memorization. I feel like a week is probably enough, but also the way it's playing out though, as long as you keep calm and, you know, really follow the music here, you shouldn't have too much of a problem when it comes to being able to hold your combo. As we could see, both of our players here are doing quite fine with it, so it's just something that you're going to kind of have to like mess with. For some of the newer teams that might not be used to playing maps like this one might be a potential ban. I could see it on some of the less competent teams, but it looks like your standard map for the most part with just some really tricky stops and holds.
Yep. I mean, both of these players actually have experience with this map. I know for a fact that they've played it and they are familiar with this, so this is not a sight read for this map in particular. So, yeah.
Well, there's no way that could be a sight read.
You'd be surprised.
I would be surprised, but no, they're just doing too well. I mean, like, no. I'd be mad. I mean,
I think I got a 7 great or 7 200s on my sight read with the full combo. So, but that's just me. I'm okay at SVs. But yeah, people will definitely be looking to put work into this, and if they don't for some reason, then yeah, that's the ban list.
All right, and we're getting right into our next one, moving on a little quicker. This one is Anamanaguchi Power Supply. Now, this is a map that was created by Halogen, and it's a charge difficulty. Now, this map is going to kind of start out a little bit slow compared to some of the other ones here. But we'll get into that as soon as the map starts.
However, this chart does feature a little bit of climax theory, so as the song progresses in intensity, the chart does as well, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, that lovely standard stock default background.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
We can all blame Halogen for not putting a background in.
I mean, he could have put a battery. I would have a battery would have sufficed.
The battery would have been great.
Yeah, like just put a Duracell there. Would have been fine. Okay, so as we said, the chart starts out quite slow. It has a lot of broken 1/4 rhythms with jump streams and jacks at 125 BPM. The tempo could actually be too slow for most players as well, but it starts to show signs of diversity with a couple of 1/8 flourishes bursts, and deviates even more from what you'd originally see by introducing long notes as well, both short and long.
Yep, right here, that was the little sections of, I think they're 1/8 little 3-note bursts, and those are actually pretty tough to time because the patterning is such that, I don't know, it's just pretty awkward to hit. But this chart is very heavily based in pitch relevancy, so you're going to see little 1/4. I'm not familiar with the times. I think it's 1/2 actually, but lots of mini jacks going to the kick drum of this song.
Yeah, I can see that. Now this chart will enter its last section with very heavy long note usage. The long notes are also considered to be too long to be treated as normal and too short to be released intuitively. There'll also be a lot of 1/8 bursts, but they're minor compared to the part beforehand. So, go ahead.
Yeah, there's also a part coming up, I believe, that's, I think, the hardest part of the song right now, where we just start going into very speedy patterns compared to the rest of the map, right here.
Yeah, most definitely. That gets a lot quicker. This might be something we see as a ban from people that are a little bit lacking on speed-wise, but I don't see it being a super hard ban. Maybe from some of the lower teams, but this just seems like standard fare for some of our season players, as we can see that our Mappools Showcase players are doing quite well.
Yep, and except here comes the LN section, so if you're not familiar with this, it's going to be a lot tougher, especially since there are all those 1/8 patterns kind of like in between each of the LN sections. So it does actually become a little bit straining, especially for players who aren't able to handle the speed or, I guess, the transitions between the sections.
Oh wow, look how much combo really does. Wow. That's crazy. Three misses put him that far back.
Yep.
That is impressive. All right, and we're going to be going into our next one. I'll let you take this one over, Daiki.
All right, we have Nagi Inside. And this is Jinjin's map, the longing difficulty. And let's see, this is probably a very contested pick, as in people will probably consider this for a ban in anything, because this is probably, I think, the hardest LN chart in this whole map pool.
Yeah, well, it is extremely long note focused.
Yes, and especially the unconventional release timings will probably trip up a lot of players who aren't comfortable with LNs. So there's very short LNs, but not short enough to be treated as staccatos, and also long ones. So it basically has the whole LN suite. Also, this map, I think, is very front-loaded in that the first third of the map will be the hardest of the map. So if you can get through that, you're kind of home free. But at the same time, you still have to get through it.
Oh boy.
A lot of shields already.
Now this one isn't too long either, it doesn't look like. It's pretty quick, even though it does have a lot of really difficult sections. This might be something we do see players pick to try to capitalize on a point, especially if their team is strong in long note play.
Definitely. However, you do have to consider that while it is very short and people would be able to pick up quick points, the quick points could go because either the team is very strong at LNs or because one team makes a critical mistake. Because I could imagine that one combo break in this could ruin your whole entire team.
Oh, yeah. That's definite. And like you can see where these long notes, they start to get to the ones that are too short to ignore, and then you have to release them real awkward. And as it looks like both of our players right now are holding their combo pretty decently, but Konner had some issues back there with some of the longer ones, so definitely we'll probably see quite a few drops coming from people. But they do have this whole week to practice, so hopefully we'll see a lot of improvement before then.
Yep. And also considering that this is one of the shorter songs, it's also not as dense as the other songs. So there's just inherently less notes in this chart, which means every error is magnified by that much more.
Yeah. And as you can see, our Mappools Showcase players are kind of going like, whoa, no. Konner is still pulling that S, but only getting 83,000 points instead of what you normally see. Oh, man.
Speaking of short songs, why don't you take this one?
Yes. This one is going to be Gavin G Refresh. This is the Momo's MX. Now, this is, I'm going to wait till the map actually gets started here. This is not going to be a very long one either, if I'm not mistaken.
1 minute and 28 seconds of drain time.
Yeah, this one is quite short. Alright, they're just doing a little bit of discussion for moving on to the next stuff here. And for everybody that is wondering, we'll have 10 no-mod picks, and then there are 5, or is it, no, it's 4 Freemod and 1 Tiebreaker. There we go. That is correct.
That is correct.
Alright, so now we're looking at my Catgirl Wifeu as we get into this. Now, this is at 170 BPM, guys, so it's very dense, and there's a lot of jump streams, some broken streams lasting about 8 to 9 chords. However, the patterns are a bit lenient. While not as leniently patterned as something like we saw in the last star in the universe, this is another chart that players with speed are going to easily be able to breeze through with a pretty decent accuracy. This is where things will get a little bit easier for those players that are like solely speed focused.
Yeah, and if you did notice, Juan dropped to 200. Actually, Konner also just dropped to 200 in the slowdown section. So you do actually have to still pay attention through these easier sections because it's a lot easier to just derp up your accuracy and lose a lot of free points from that.
Yeah, the slowdown's in the first third, and it's kind of irrelevant due to the fact that there's fewer notes, but with Score V2 being there, I don't know how irrelevant it might be. It's probably the hardest map in the pool of terms of physical ability needed. But
yes. The dense jump stream, I think, is what captures it. It's definitely the densest chart in terms of how long you have to keep up the notes per second, as well as the patterning of it. So it's not just like straight jump trilling a wall or something for 3 notes per second star rating, but you actually have to concentrate.
Yeah, very much so. So I feel like this might be something that we see banned out for the weaker players, but maybe not, because, you know, it's group stage is always crazy. I've learned never to just assume from seeds that that's how someone's going to play. Because when you see high seeds getting wrecked in group stage, it's just like, what? So you don't want to do that. We'll be moving on to our next one in just a moment. Daiki, I'll let you go ahead and handle that one.
All right. As soon as it pops up, we got Rush by Malignant Narcissism. And this is Pope Gadget's chart, the R40 difficulty. So this chart is basically filled with chord jacks and bursts, either 1/6 chord jacks and bursts or 1/8, and none of this is comfortable to time. And mostly because this BPM kind of goes all over the place, and in general, the patterning is not comfortable at all.
Yeah, I remember watching this one played, and like I'm no professional by any means when it comes to playing Mania. I can barely do 4-key anymore at this point. But this one is just like I've even listened to it in auto, and it's just it doesn't even seem like it's fun. Like I'm not saying it's not fun for those who are able to practice it, but it's just not something I would be able to enjoy.
I haven't actually seen this map, so I'll be checking out the patterns.
I'll go ahead and talk about it then here. It's filled with a lot of chord jacks and bursts. These can be either 1/6 or 1/8, both which are not very comfortable to time, like you said. And the uncomfortability stems from the dynamic BPM. The rather dynamic, and the patterning not built to be very comfortable. Like, so the creator actually made this to be like, here, I want to hurt your hand. And if you add to the fact that this is has an overall difficulty of 8.5, it becomes a huge accuracy war type of map. But Juan's just killing it over here.
Still holding that double S. I wonder if he'll be able to hold it all the way. Not that I'm cursing him or anything. There we go.
Oh, yep, there you go. Good job.
In one of those 1/6 threads, I believe.
Yeah, those 1/6 do not look family friendly. Ooh, Konner.
Oh yeah, these bursts are a little bit nasty, especially for group stage, I think. Some teams might see trouble with this. And also just the density of the jumps and or doubles and triples is pretty incredible in some of those little drum riffs there, drum solo ending things. Oh boy, that's going to be fun to time.
That's not. That just seems like it's going to be a stamina killer right there. But Juan did really good there, you know? Almost getting that double S, only to be cursed out. Now we could just go hashtag blame Daiki.
can never do that. It's all Juan's fault. He was playing the map, so it's obviously still blame Juan.
I'm pretty sure I could get Twitch chat to agree. But no, that is going to be that one. We will be moving to the next one here, which is Lindsay Sterling, Zimbon Zakura.
I think that's right. Senbun
yeah.
Zakura. Juankristal says no more.
Oh man. I assume you know about this one here, Daiki, so I'll let you go ahead and talk about the final points on this one for the map pool.
I mean, this basically is kind of all over the place in terms of what it kind of offers. So it starts out with an LN section, then starts going through some 1/8 bursts. There's some mini jacks in here, more LNs and Ki. Chart goes into even more LNs and 1/8 bursts, and like it just it's a pretty technical map. I think though it's focused more on the long notes here.
Oh whoa! I just got
The key sounds.
Yeah.
For the most part, at the beginning at least, the LNs are a little bit intuitive, so they're not too much of a pain. However, they do accelerate in difficulty. That key sound is really weird. It just kind of pops up.
Yeah, the key sounds are a bit strange here. Whoa, okay. Does that sound like a gunshot to you?
A little bit. As a player who actually has hit sounds off all the time, because I have trouble. I'm a very oral player, so I use the music as my cues over the, I guess, visual effect of the arrows meeting the receptor. Hit sounds mess me up a lot. So I'm usually not privy to hearing this kind of thing, so it's pretty interesting to me.
Definitely see they at least tried to make variable hit sounds here.
Some mini jacks, a little bit of SV work as well.
Juan doing incredibly well in terms of holding that combo up.
Oh, the mini jack trips him up. Those mini jacks are pretty brutal. They're appearing only... Oh, I just saw them otherwise. But they were only happening on like the right column and the left column. And that was pretty interesting because those transitions are a little bit wonky, I think, to hit if you haven't actually played this song before. Oh, and one. The SB. I believe we're heading into the last Ki section, which I believe is the hardest section of the chart, or I could be completely mistaken.
Back to the intuitive long notes there. Those
I think
are
I was just mistaken.
really well made, yeah.
Oh, never mind. Here come the LNs.
What the? No!
I was not mistaken. Okay.
Your poor fingers. Come on.
Right at the very end.
Oh, yeah, that was beautiful.
That could swing matches like crazy if people decide to mess up right there.
Yeah, I mean, because it looked pretty tame and doable there till, whoops, there goes the end. All right, and we'll be going to our last no-mod pick here. And this is going to be by Vopsy, and it's Robo Position, if I'm not mistaken.
Vospy.
Yes, and this is a 4K HD difficulty.
This is actually the lowest star-rated map in this pool. It's only rated at 2.72 stars. However...
Don't let the stars fool you. And I'll kind of wait till the song plays for this one to go into explanation, Daiki, because if you're looking at the same information I'm looking at here, this one's kind of one of the ones you kind of want people to see before you start explaining it.
Incoming. This chart's difficulty is based in one thing, and I think one thing only. And you're about to see it. If either of these players have not played this map, they're in for a treat. It's LNs! Ha 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 ha.
This is also probably the only chart that can be considered to be not sight readable.
Yeah,
there are multiple. Yeah, there's multiple SV sections. It's not LNs at all. The LN was a joke. It was a trick. It's a trip. There's no way you can play this as a song once and get a good score on it. This is something due to the fact that there's a lot of unconventional rhythms that the song has. Particularly, it's going to get really weird in the Kai sections. Most of the rhythms are not too hard to figure out, but there's time investment that's going to be needed on this map, Daiki. And what do you think about that? Do you feel like the time investment is worth it? Do you think this will be a good thing that players can... Oh, man!
This chart is great.
Yeah, that was a drum roll. That was really good. I could see Juan here is actually holding tempo on the side to keep...
The ghost taps. Yep.
Yeah, the ghost taps are real. That's not a bad idea, especially when it's going to be changing so much here.
Definitely. And I think the time invested is still well worth because you only get one ban. So, like, why not spend the little bit of extra time practicing this map and getting it down really well than just banning it and having to face something that you're actually weak at? Because SVs, with practice, you can nail down. Like, you just need to know the chart well. As opposed to something like, if something's too dense for you, you literally just don't have the physical ability to do that. And that's so much more worth the ban than any SV pick. Oh god, that's actually pretty bad.
It's like, yeah, don't worry about the SVs too much. Oh wait, maybe not.
Well, again, it's just going to take a little bit of time to get used to.
Oh man, that's not a little time. Some of them sections are like, they go from your basic 1/4 rhythm to like a 1/6, then to like a breakdown, where I'm not even sure if that goes to 1/6 and then 1/3 or 1/3 and then 1/2.
It's either you practice it or you actually go and look in the editor and you'd be like, oh, that's the rhythm. And then you have a better idea. There's like a lot of things you can do to practice SV charts like this. And the thing is that we're going to see a lot more of this in the other map pools. Like, that's a guarantee from these map pool selectors. They really want to test everything. And everything means everything. And Konner takes this over juankristal.
Okay, so now we'll be going into our first Freemod pick here. And Daiki, for those that aren't too understandable to the Freemod here, go ahead and explain those rules here.
I will. Yep.
All right.
So in Freemod, one of the players must. So there has to be at least one player who selects either flashlight or hard rock. And it can be either or. You can actually have someone play both of them. Any number of people can play those mods as long as one person on the team at least selects one of those mods. And that is a Freemod bracket. And of course, Flashlight and Hard Rock will give score bonuses in Score V2, so that's actually going to be a very important piece of contention in Team's strategy for this. Also, for this, we have SpaceTime!
Oh man, I had actually looked at SpaceTime. It is a different SpaceTime, but it's still SpaceTime. But you know, it's no brain power though. It's just SpaceTime.
Hang on. I might have misspoke. I'm going to confirm if I did or not.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Feel free to do that.
But while we're rating up, this is about whether you can select both mods at the same time. As you can see, juankristal will be playing Flashlight and Konner will be taking Hard Rock. This is Nish's SpaceTime. This is Underjoy's difficulty, not the other one that you're all familiar with. And it's also a shorter version, only at 1 minute and 57 seconds.
Poor Juan. Oh, and look at him go! He's actually doing it!
That's something to behold.
Holy crap, he's actually doing pretty well. I mean, his accuracy's kind of tanking, but he's managing to hold combo, which is surprising. That being said, the usage of FL on this would force players to use a lower speed mod or something that would be far lower than what they're used to. As a result, players will have to rely more on aerial cues than visual cues to ensure that they get a high score. Along with the fact that HR is almost a mandatory mod, most of the maps in this category are strongly accuracy based. Whew.
And yes, I'm going to be confirming that you are not allowed to pick both Flashlight and Hard Rock at the same time. This is the official ruling coming from the tournament staff. Oh, Konner, what? Konner just tanked in his life bar. I'm not sure if that was lag or if he just...
That was Hard Rock.
That was Hard Rock.
Okay. Anyways, that being said, the chart is actually slow in tempo, so there's 143 BPM, so people have to familiarize themselves with the tempo if they're not used to it. For FL players, though, this chart is kind of a constant 1/4. There's lots of easy rhythms, making it a little bit easier to manage, but it'll still test the mental fortitude here.
Definitely. And also, clarification again. So, final 100% ruling is that you are allowed to pick both Hard Rock and Flashlight in the Freemod bracket. That is the final thing. That is...
Yeah, unfortunately, we had a few brain derps. It happens.
But yeah, if you look at that, just the accuracy drop from Hard Rock,
Nah,
even with the multiplier, is enough to kind
Yeah.
of make up for Flashlight.
Flashlight actually did all right, though. I mean, with the 98% accuracy, he didn't miss anything. How did he not miss anything? Juan, are you a legend and you just didn't tell anybody? He's totally a legend.
He's... Now we have, from BMS Shiki, Endless Dream, the hyper difficulty. We got some jump stream coming in. And I think this is actually the hardest chart in the Freemod bracket. However, that's not really saying much because it's a Freemod bracket and not the no-mod bracket. Honestly, I think the hardest part about Flashlight is getting the first notes accuracy properly, and then after that you're just scot-free if the chart is consistent enough. But this chart in Flashlight will be quite an ordeal. It's a lot faster and denser than SpaceTime. Or maybe not denser, but it's definitely faster.
Yeah, and this is Endless Dream, right?
Yep, it is.
Yeah, sorry about that. So you've already went into most of the details on it?
Not really. I only just said that it's Endless Stream, basically. It is 182 BPM, and as you can see, it's pretty light jump stream. But it's still pretty fast. And actually, it does get denser at the climax of it. There's also some bursts midway through the chart, but they're kind of just there, and they don't actually contribute much to the difficulty of the chart.
Yeah, so this is probably one of the harder maps in the Freemod section in terms of physical strength needed, but it's not as relevant as you'd think because the no-mod pool is much harder. This is still a little bit more lax than what we've seen in the no-mod pool, but with the fact that one of you either has to take Hard Rock or you have to take the visual impaired mod there, like, it really just depends on what you're more comfortable with there. And I feel like, you know, putting Flashlight into a modded play and actually giving it something is going to be awesome for those players that, you know, like, have to use Flashlight. I know a few players right off the top of my head, like October Scream, I don't know if he's playing this year, but that was someone that only could play Mania with Flashlight. Very impressive. But those kind of people are going to excel. At least in the Freemod bracket.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, it's quite a nice song, actually.
Yep, and we're heading into the dense sections. And juankristal did actually break a little bit earlier. Both of the players getting over 1 million score. That's just the power of Hard Rock and Flashlight.
That's very impressive. Konner going completely ham there, but still losing out to the Flashlight score. What?
Yeah, I believe Hard Rock gives a 1.1, while Flashlight is 1.06 score boost. However, Konner was about 5,000 points behind, although he had much worse accuracy because it's Hard Rock.
Oh man, so personally, like, this is just my speculation here, in my opinion, but the way it's looking, you might want to just try to practice Flashlight. I mean, it feels like ideally the stronger out of the two if you can manage to pull
It definitely
it off.
depends how strong your accuracy is, because if you have very good accuracy, I expect most of the players who come from Stepmania to have a very strong accuracy, considering that Stepmania has like, I don't know, it's like the generalization you can make for those types of players. Hard Rock would probably be right up their alley and would probably produce higher scores than Flashlight. However, that's time will tell. Only time will tell. Anyways, we're heading to DJ Okawari's Canon. This is the Clamorous Insane difficulty. The longest song in the map pool that is not the tiebreaker.
Oh yeah, this one is quite long. Got a nice, you know, I actually like the background to this. It actually fits with the Mania playfield.
No, it does.
Ooh, that's nice key sounding. They got all the piano chords in there. Oh, and they got the xylophone. I'm impressed. That's all it takes to impress me.
So yeah, this song is kind of not really that hard. There is some LN releases that might be a little bit strange for people who aren't good at LNs, as you can kind of see, probably on Konner's screen more than juankristal's screen, because it's hard to see whatever's happening on one side right now. But for the most part, the song is straight up, can you accuracy well? And if you're playing Flashlight, can you accuracy well with respect to the music?
Oh man, this one is actually doing a lot of justice to the key sounds. This is one I could probably play with I mean, I used to play a lot of DJ Max, so I'm okay with songs that are key sounded heavily and it's dependent on the music. And this is really nice that they have the piano chords in there, but at the same time, you could also see that the map is created with those chords in mind. So anytime you hear that sample, it is like a chord. So it's very intuitive in that aspect. So you saying that it's not very hard is kind of right, as the music kind of follows suit with what's going to happen.
Yeah. And I really like that in a chart when you can say, here are the notes, here's why it's justified to the music, not just to generate difficulty or to just produce arbitrary patterns or whatever, but like really, here are the notes, this is why it fits exactly to the music, this is why I did it. Chart!
Yep. That being said, there are a lot of slow chord streams near the end, and it's probably going to be the hardest part in the map to time correctly. It's the easiest chart in the map pool overall, but it is entirely accuracy based. And it does test a lot of aural cues. So if you could lock onto the music and its rhythms, you'll get a very good score on this.
I'm actually excited to see the end of chord stream section. That'll be pretty interesting to watch. To see if Juan and Konner can hold their own through this little section. I think here it comes. No, after one more phrase of music.
After one more phrase of music.
This is the chord stream. And Juan does actually drop in this section.
But is that drop going to be enough for Konner to come back here? His combo is completely full. So the score is starting to get close, but that flashlight is just so strong. And that drop is probably going to seal the deal for Juan to take that.
That's what it looks like. The ending. Oh. And I guess if you look at Konner's score, he got actually a negative ratio of 300 to max 300s. Like that's just hard rock for you. It's it's that much harder to time and do well in accuracy in hard rock.
Yeah, you really, when taking the hard rock mod, you really gotta be on your best game here.
Oh god, this song.
Oh yeah, this song.
I dislike the song. Like
I don't care for the song too much either, but it is interesting in gameplay. We saw this in the Catch the Beat World Cup as well. And it was very interesting in the fact that it does move quite well with the rhythm. Now, with it being moved over to Mania, I can only imagine that hilarity is going to ensue when the map starts to speed up. I don't see this one being a good idea for Flashlight. But, you know, that's to be seen, of course. And we'll get into the information on this as soon as we get this thing started.
Yep. I believe that the song is at least constant scroll rate, so we're not going to see the actual notes speed up. However, they will just keep getting denser and denser and denser as the song speeds up. So we'll see how Juan handles. Oh, he's going Flashlight and hard rock for this song. Oh boy.
Oh man. So with ours, this is probably the hardest chart to time in the Freemod pool without question. It's even shown on the leaderboards. So what makes this chart so difficult to time is because of the slow jacks in the first 2/3 of this chart. Now, they're going to progressively speed up throughout the song, as it goes from 132 BPM 1/2, which are very slow, and not many people are familiar with the slow, unless they play charts like this often, to about 196 BPM 1/2, which, while we're familiar with our high speeder players, they're also going to be accompanied with 1/4 triples, making this thing absolutely ridiculous. The reason why this didn't get put into no mod is to see how well the Flashlight and hard rock player can do. Considering that they have a score multiplier, they need to show that they're able to perform at least 90% as well as they can do against their peers. So even with the low speed mod or timing window handicap, this is probably going to be an enticing ban, but there's other charts in the no mod pool that people might have a harder time on than this, such as like Malignant Narcissism and Inside.
Definitely. If you just watch the players, juankristal's actually tearing it up right now. holding actually better accuracy than Konner is right now on Flashlight Hard Rock too. However, we're coming into the end where it's like, oh god, the Flashlight.
Man, the key sounds on this, as it got done there. I don't have this game sound up that loud, so I just hear the key sounds, and I swear it started to sound like Space Jam for a second.
And by the way, that was the final map of the Freemod pool and of the general map pool. So the next map that we're going to come into is the Tiebreaker.
Yes, the Tiebreaker. It's what you've all waited for, guys. The map that might get played. We hope to see a lot of tiebreakers in group. We usually at least see 1 or 2. But this tiebreaker is going to be nice here. This one is from Katori P. It's Black Out the Alternative, and this is going to be the former. This is a long note chart, but it also has a lot of other things going on with it as well. We'll let Daiki go into that as the map gets started. We're going to see lots of unconventional rhythm changes, though, in this one, so be on your guard. This map sounds absolutely bananas. Like, if it's set up Oriole Key style, it could be super bananas. But let's just see what we got.
I think it's definitely easier than kind of most tiebreaker charts that you would normally see. However, it's still a tiebreaker chart, so it's not something to be taken very lightly at all. And basically, I think this is a map that you still have to actually give some playthroughs for, because as you heard from that preview, like, the song goes all over the place and it's very hard to predict. So unless you're ready for it, a lot of the rhythms could mess up a lot of players. However, this map is a kind of conglomeration of a lot of skills, as are a couple other maps in this map pool. And like was said, it's going to start off with an LN focus. We're going to have bursts all over the place, some triple gluts, some weird rhythms, just everything.
Yeah, there's just a little bit of this. The first 40% of this chart's mainly going to test our players and their ability to focus on long note releases and hitting patterns around long notes. The patterns are generally slow jump streams, but they can even deviate into 1/6 bursts and slow doubles and triples, as you guys are seeing. And aside from the cooldown section on this really long chart, it's near unpredictable unless you've really put some time into it. But it's a marathon, so, you know, being able to put time into it isn't something that a lot of people will do right away. It's going to test multiple skill sets and keep you on your feet throughout the entirety of the song, though. As we can see, our Mappools Showcase players are having a little bit of problems with it. Konner dropping a couple times. Juan holding pretty decent here. Accuracy's overall still pretty high, though.
Yep, both players holding at... Konner, come on! Get the 90... Oh, he just made a drop. Konner almost hitting that 99. Juankristal already hovering at like a 99.6. Which is pretty impressive, given the amount of long notes that have been happening in this song.
And we are now just now hitting the halfway mark, peoples.
This isn't even the halfway mark. This is like 1/3.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm looking at the circle timer.
I have the bar timer.
Yeah, we're not even halfway. We're not even... Yeah, we're not there. Oh man, this jump stream with interleave mini jacks is pretty hard. The song is very draining, of course, being a marathon. And this is about the halfway point. Oh, that was a weird rhythm change. Oh, and now we can start seeing. I think that's some irregular time signature stuff, and also the rhythm is going to start going all over the place. I think.
Yeah, it does look like things are starting to get a little bit more inconsistent here. Konner definitely struggling there a little bit to hold that big combo. Both accuracies well above a respectable level though. Just Juan's just a machine at the moment. And this might potentially be a sight read off juankristal, so that's even more impressive. I'm not sure if I can confirm that. I'm not sure if he's played this before or not. But if that is a sight read, good on him.
Definitely. For those of you watching that have to face juankristal's country, Argentina, I think. Forgive me if I'm wrong about that. For some reason, I can't remember exactly. But note the maps that he's good at and bad at.
Quick, write everything down! And with that being said, guys, that is going to be the tiebreaker of the group stage Mappools Showcase for the Mania 4-Key World Cup 2016. We hope you guys enjoyed that. And for those wondering where the banners might be for the World Cups, remember, guys, we're going to start doing those at the round of 16. So look for those at the round of 16. We will be going over the group stage, and the schedule will be released shortly after. Well, I would assume it'd be released before, I'd give it maybe a day, if not later today. Usually that's about how it works. But we will get all that information out to you guys as soon as possible. Remember to stay following the OS lives to get updates and email notifications when we go live. Make sure to check the OS news to be able to find out tournament schedules, stuff like that. There is a wiki, of course, it's down at the bottom. You can click on that to get all kinds of useful information on who's participating in the World Cup, who the casters are, what times, what dates, and the prize pool. Everything like that being said. With that being said, Daiki, I'd like to thank you for helping me with the Mappools Showcase. We made a really good one for the group stage this year.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. Anytime. With that being said, I do think we're about ready to wrap it up here. Let me just get confirmation. If there might be one or two things we need to talk about still, let me just get this okay, no, I'm getting a no. So that being said, folks, we want to thank you all for coming out and checking out the live drawings and the Mappools Showcase. And we will start with group stage next week. The times and everything will be posted eventually. And remember, rhythm's only a click away, and we'll see you all real soon for more Mania World Cup coverage.